everybody, my name is Tanya and this is my wrap up for the Underhype Reads Readathon. The Underhype Reads Readathon ran from Saturday the 27th of February to Friday the 4th of March, and I was able to complete 4 books for the readathon during that time and make some progress on 2 others, and let's just get into it. The first book unfortunately was a bit of a disappointment, and that was Eat Him If You Like by Jean Toulet. This one could have been amazing and it just wasn't. The main reason that I didn't like this one much is to do with the writing. This one was originally published in French and has been translated by Emily Phillips, and I don't know whether it's the original story or whether it's the translation that I don't like, but I felt like this one was quite badly written. It's quite clumsy. The way that it's told is really quite absurd. Eat Him If You Like is set in France during 1870 and is based on the true events, true happenings of a mob torture and killing of an innocent man. And I think the writing really lets it down, because instead of it kind of showing how quickly this happens and how these seemingly normal people can be, whipped up into this frenzy of the mob, instead of it showing the power of that, it instead becomes farcical. There's no believability in it, there's no depth to any of the characters, there's no depth to the mentality of the mob. It's just, this happens, and then, oh, something said, and this happens, and then they do this, and they do that, and there's no kind of connection to anything, which I know is not necessarily how mob mentality works, but the way that it's written tips it from being powerful into being absurd, and it just takes all of the impact out of it. So this is kind of a mixture of bad dialogue and bad description, interspersed with scenes that literally made me cringe, and I'm not a very squeamish reader. And given the subject matter, this has kind of got quite graphic descriptions of torture in it, and parts of that did literally make me shudder reading about it, and it just, no, when I still think about some of those scenes, it just makes me cringe. And then there's like this seemingly gratuitous sex scene thrown in the center of it that just has no place, and no. I guess what I'm trying to say is, instead of coming across as powerful, it comes across as a parody instead, and maybe that's what the author was going for, but it just didn't sit right with me. I think it was badly narrated, badly described, badly handled in pretty much all respects, and I just wasn't really impressed at all, which was definitely a shame because I was very much looking forward to this one. The next book I completed, thankfully, was much better, and that was Gone to the Forest by Katie Kitamura, and I am struggling to kind of work out how to describe this one, but I really, really enjoyed it. This one starts following the story of Tom and his father and their life on their family farm. Tom's father is quite overbearing and controls his life to the extent that he is planning to choose a wife for Tom and give him no choice in his future. However, this is set against a backdrop of kind of civil unrest and the native people and their dissatisfaction at kind of the white man colonial settlers in the area, and when a volcanic eruption kind of throws the livelihood of that farm in jeopardy, tensions rise and bubble over, and a kind of full-scale civil war develops. And so it kind of starts off with this story of, Tom and his father and their lives in quite a small insular way, and then everything explodes in terms of their lives and the lives of everyone around them, and it became kind of so much more than I was expecting. The writing style in this one is quite sparse and quite simple, but at the same time very compelling, and it definitely dragged me along. It's not a very long one, and I was trying to get through as much as I could for the readathon, but it definitely sucked me through it. It's kind of told in 2 parts, so it starts off with the story of Tom and his father and Corinne, the woman who ends their lives, and the kind of far-reaching impact that these decisions are making on the kind of their individual lives. And then we move into the second part where, as I said, the open rebellion and open war is kind of waged, and everything that Tom has known and has expected from his life kind of crumbles away. So it's quite heavy, it's quite bleak, there isn't a lot of light in it, but I found it definitely very compelling, and I would definitely recommend this one. So I finished the first 2 books on the Saturday and Sunday of the readathon, and then it took me until Friday to finish anything else. I was making small progress on things throughout the week, but wasn't getting too much reading done, or at least not as much as I would have liked. But I was able to finish 2 more things on the Friday at the last minute. The first one of those was The Predator by K. Applegate, which is the 5th book in the Animal series. My Readathon staple, and probably not all much I can say about this, except I am still continuing to love these. I don't know how many times I read these earlier ones. When I was younger, I think it was quite a few times. Definitely everything that happened in this was very familiar. This is the first story that's narrated by Marco, so it's kind of now completed our set of narrators, except for Axe, who we start alternating with Tobias later in the series. And of course, Marco is the most reluctant of the Animorphs, and there's the big twist in this one that gives Marco something to fight for. And I love reading this, as I have with all of them, and there's not really much more I can say, just I am loving this reread. And the last book I completed for the Unhyped Reads Readathon is something that I've been having trouble formulating thoughts about, so this is going to be interesting. But the last book that I completed was Foreign Soil by Maxine Beneba Clark, and I think I really enjoyed this. Foreign Soil is a collection of 10 short stories which deal with quite hard-hitting themes. We've got issues of race and of gender and sexuality, and there's a story that deals with refugees. It's set in a variety of places. There are stories that take place in Australia, others that are in Uganda or Jamaica or Sudan. There's one that's set in Louisiana. So it's kind of a wide range of themes and settings, all quite powerful. I enjoyed some more than others, which is usual with a short story collection, but all of them I think definitely packed a punch. The writing is incredibly compelling. I really enjoyed it. It's also told in kind of a variety of styles, so there are stories that are kind of written in an accent, so you're getting a real sense of the tone and how words should be pronounced. It takes a little while to get fully into those stories, I found, because it is not just the dialogue, but the whole story is kind of written in that way, a little bit more, phonetically spelt out. It takes a little while to get into that rhythm, but I found it definitely added to the feel of the story and the place that it's set. Then, as quite a silly observation in the midst of the power that some of these stories had, I really enjoyed some of the Australian flavour that was in this. So as I said, the stories are set in quite a variety of different places around the world, but Maxine Beneba Clark is an Australian author of Afro-Caribbean descent, so she's setting these stories in different areas that obviously have to do with her heritage, but there are a couple of stories that are set in Australia, and there was references to things from my childhood that I definitely appreciated, and also references to different places that I'm familiar with, so it definitely added an extra element to that. But I don't think there's anything that I've ever seen that references Snugglepot and Cuddlepie in it, so I definitely appreciated that. Snugglepot and Cuddlepie, I think I've talked about before, was a book by Meg Gibbs that I loved as a child, and it's about Snugglepot and Cuddlepie, who are gumnut babies and who live in the Australian bush, and it's kind of very much a look at kind of Australian wildlife, and it's something that I absolutely adored as a child. So, just a casual reference to Snugglepot and Cuddlepie is something that makes me smile. Also reference to the Australian children's series Bananas in Pyjamas, which is something, again, that I watched a lot as a child, and is exactly what it sounds like. 2 banana characters who wear blue and white striped pyjamas, and they chase teddy bears. That's not strange at all. Now I have the Bananas in Pyjamas theme song in my head, and no, I'm not going to sing it, but yes. Although I have to say now, I hate the new animated Bananas in Pyjamas series. When I was younger, it was men in costumes in these banana suits, and now it's an animated series, and I hate it, and they look creepy, because grown men in banana suits is not creepy at all. This review was taking a turn. So I really enjoyed the local flavour that was in this one. As an Australian, it's something that I picked up on. It's just a small reference to a couple of things in here. It doesn't make any important plot point, but just some things from my childhood that I appreciated spotting in a book. I think one of my favourite stories from the collection was the first one, and it's quite a short one, and it's about a young Sudanese woman in Melbourne purchasing a bicycle and being spotted by an older Sudanese woman who she feels is judging her, and that a woman shouldn't be riding a bike. And at the same time, that older woman is having flashbacks to her life in Sudan and her young son who had a bicycle of his own, and the memories that that's bringing back for her. And I found it to be completely touching. I really enjoyed that one. Definitely heartbreaking, and I think it was a great start to the collection. So as I mentioned, I made small progress on 2 other books during the week. I was working on 2 other short story collections. The first of those is the collected stories of Beverly Farmer. I think I read maybe 3 stories in this collection. I've not made a very big start. And the second is Cranky Ladies of History, which again I think I've read 2 or 3 stories out of this one. So I've only made very small starts, but that's kind of all I wanted to do, was something, a prompt to pick these ones up. So I'll continue to read these slowly throughout the month of March, or however long it takes, and see how I go. So these are the books that I was able to complete during the Unhyped Reads Readathon, and apart from Eat Him If You Like, which as I said was quite a disappointment, I really enjoyed the books that I read during the week and was really pleased for the push to pick these ones up. If any of these ones look good to you, or if you had any questions, please let me know in the comments. As always, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!